So what have we got today then, Paul? A quick blast to the country in this latest Type R?
Well, it's making a lot of headlines. It's getting lap records everywhere for a front-wheel drive
We've talked
car.
about that before. It's just a lovely high-performance front-wheel drive machine. Well, this is now the 4th generation of Honda Civic Type R.
Actually, Tiff, it's not. It's the 6th generation of Honda Civic Type R.
6th?
I tell you what, Tiff, let me take you back to where it all began.
Paul, this is not a Honda Civic Type R.
But this, Tiff, is where it all began. This car, 1972, the first ever Honda Civic Mark 1.
It's rather nice though,
It's
isn't it?
amazing. This is a big smile on my face for sure. Look, you've got a choke, you've got vinyl reclining seats. Choke, by the way, I bet people don't even know what that is.
Push button radio stations, little clock in the corner.
Big ashtray as well, that was very essential in the 70s.
So when then was the first Type R?
Well, the first Type R actually was with the NSX, so that came out in 1991. What an awesome car that was.
Okay, so when was the first Honda Civic Type R?
Now you're talking, because that's what today's all about. Here we are, Tiff. Every generation of Honda Civic Type R ever made.
So this is where the Civic and Type R badges meet for the first time.
It's pretty tasty, isn't it? The cars are
Great
immaculate.
seats, holds me perfectly. Driving position's good, even though I can't pull the steering wheel out. It only goes up and down.
That's okay.
Styling, it's quite simple but attractive, isn't it? I love the white wheels and the little wing on the back.
Yeah, all completely standard as well. And this car is a 2000 car, but they originally started the car in 1997. It feels quite current, don't you think? The air conditioning works like a dream. The car is immaculate. These seats are like brand new and they're so comfortable.
Let's remember we got Vtec. So we got down to second gear, what, 4?
Go easy on those revs.
And then you just accelerate,
Oh, there we go.
Did you? No, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to do that again. Listen.
Wow, isn't that funny? It's like all of a sudden. Don't forget, when this car was built, 185 horsepower from only 1.6 litre naturally aspirated engine. It's incredible, really. Tiff, one thing you haven't mentioned yet, that you always mention, is the steering wheel. Are you happy with that one?
Because it's actually a Momo wheel. But look, it's a round steering wheel. It's got no buttons on it at all. It's got nice little grips with a thumb. It's exactly how steering wheels should be for steering. You see all this advancement in car design. You go right back, what, 20 years almost to this. But it's a fun car to drive. Now, Paul, this to me was the first Honda Civic Type R. Must be one of my first 5th gear items. Came out in 2001, just as the old Top Gear was finishing. And, you know, we've moved on 4 years, but this is it for me.
Well, it is the first one, really. Well, certainly the first one to be built in the UK at Swindon.
Yeah, so that's the difference, isn't it? And you can see that European influence. I mean, look at the interior. It's only 4 years moved on, but wow, look at this big centre console, these snazzy dials. And of course, like a racing car. This is why we loved it. I mean, in a racing car, it's on the right, but that is the sort of distance from steering wheel to gear lever in a racing car. This was
beautiful little gearbox. People said it was a bit like a minivan, but that's rubbish. It's perfectly placed.
It's still very understated and stylish, which I actually like. You know, whereas we've seen the modern one, the latest one, you know, how glary it is, you know, and this is so simple.
All these hot hatches that we test drive these days with 300 horsepower, all-wheel drive, this was the equivalent of that, but 17 years ago.
Where's the Vtec coming on? Back off a bit, back off a bit.
There we go, 6,000 revs. Whoa!
But of course it also grew to 2 litres, but only gained another 15 horsepower, 200 horsepower. But again, 6 gears, so quite a bit of change. And the great thing about this was the handling. We can't do it on public roads, but it's actually got the most amazing lift-off oversteer, so you can transition into a corner, you can feel the back moving out.
But even just at these little speeds around these country lanes, It's beautiful. It's as smooth as silk. The whole car is just, it's incredible to think that this came out in 2001.
I know. In fact, I think I even said that in the wet it's almost got too much lift-off oversteer for road use. So 5 years later, we've got the second car built in the UK, and boy, they've jazzed it up a bit.
That's completely different, isn't it? This is called the FN2, in case you're not aware. And you know what? This car has gained a massive 1 extra horsepower over the previous model. It's gained 1 horsepower only, but it's also gained 80 kilograms there or thereabouts in weight.
The gear lever's dropped down, which I don't like as much, obviously that little funky wheel, but it does look a lot more stylish. I mean, the wing, the sloping rear tailgate.
Somebody said these door handles are like a Smeg fridge.
Also, a start button for the first time. I don't know what manufacturer the first to put a start button. What was wrong with just turning a key? I've no idea. But no, we've got a start button.
And the steering wheel, a little bit more going on the steering wheel.
Yeah, we've now got buttons on the steering wheel. A button for start, and I've got channels and volumes, and here we all go. No nice little Momo word anymore now. We've got it's a nice round wheel, but the trouble is you knock these things, I find, with the bottom of your thumb.
You're obsessed with round steering wheels. You're obsessed with them.
Well, they're nice. But this was a much maligned car, and just sitting here on the roads like this, I rather like it. I don't know why. I mean, okay, it only had 1 more horsepower, but 201 is better than 185. And I think one of the main reasons it was attacked by journalists is they got rid of the independent rear suspension, didn't they? So exactly. That feisty handling went. So it's a softer car. It's got a beam rear axle. It's not quite got that lift-off oversteer that we all loved on telly and the car journos.
Yeah, but surely the Type R is that's why people didn't like it as much, because surely the Type R is supposed to be about that. It's not supposed to be a nice, comfortable cruiser.
I mean, okay, handling-wise, it's a bit softer, but styling-wise, it's certainly moved the generations that leapt forwards. What are we in now?
Tiff, meanwhile, whilst you're hootering around the English roads, I'm in Japan in this.
Sorry, what did you say?
It's not that noisy, it's very comfortable.
So now you're getting me confused, because you said this is a model that was built in Japan the same time as they were building the last model we drove in the UK.
Exactly right.
So, but all these models are SNs and FNs and PKs and... Hold on a minute, I've got to get back to where we were. It's too complicated. We went out in the UK built FN2.
Correct.
And that's a 3-door hatch, as in the tradition of Civics. Whereas somehow in Japan they were going 4-door saloon with this FD2.
Exactly right. It's fun, isn't it?
You've still got the Vtec. Whatever the model, whatever the year, you can't get away from the joys of Vtec. So it's hard to compare this with anything else really, because obviously it's very souped up. So the engine's standard, is it? You've just got a big exhaust on, a big gear lever on.
They've made a little bit of adjustments to the engine to get a bit more air in, and they've just made the ride a bit more comfortable for the UK roads. But oh, I love it. This is how you envisage a Japanese car, isn't it?
And of course you've got a big wing on the back. Can you feel the downforce? We're cornering now. You have to feel the grip being pushed in by the down. No.
No, is the answer.
I mean,
this is right up your street, this car. I can see you trading in your BMW for this. What do you think?
Couldn't live more than 50 miles.
50? I'm surprised you got 50 miles in you, to be honest.
Nice downshift,
Oh,
little blip there, you see. If that's what you can be able to heel and toe, same idea, you see.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think? You going to buy one?
No.
Why not?
What's all this velour-y stuff? I don't like that either. Do you think that was standard, or was he added that?
I think that might be a nice additional extra from the owner.
I think this is a very personalised car, which is loved by its owner.
The owner loves it.
Look at this big mirror.
Oh, I love it. I love everything about this. It's just, for me, this is crying JDM. You like that little downshift? That was a little bit of hills.
That was nice.
There we go. Look at that.
I think you're enjoying this a bit too much. So after the FN2s and the FD2s, we had this 4-year gap in Civic Type Rs until this arrived, which is the
FK2.
Exactly, I knew that. The FK2.
When this car first came out and I saw the pictures, if you remember, the launch spec was white, black and red, a little bit like the Honda Cinque. Oh, I loved it.
A little bit like what, Paul?
Pagani's on the Cinque.
So you're comparing a Honda Civic with a Pagani.
You know, the looks are very similar in terms of this, in terms of the body colour. Obviously, nothing
I
else.
don't know why I work with you. I don't know where you get these things. The sad thing is, I mean, I know it's got, what, 110 more horsepower? What is it, 310 horsepower? But you've lost the great Vtec thing. I mean, it's still in there.
Still there.
But it all works now. Low revs it comes in to get the boost up. But then once the boost's up, it actually goes back to a normal cam profile. So it's not quite the same. And 4 doors. So it's the first 4-door to be built in the UK of Type Rs.
Exactly, in the UK.
So it's almost followed the lead of the Japanese FD2.
They're very good, very good.
Yes. Do you have any idea what these letters mean? We've gone from FNs to FQs to God knows
no
what.
idea whatsoever what they mean.
Oh, I've got gear change. I've got white, yellow lights, red lights. Everything's flashing.
Doesn't
it's all
hang
going.
about, does it? Doesn't hang about, this thing.
Oh, this is bonkers.
This is fun, isn't it?
But this is still front-wheel drive with like 310 horsepower. You know, and everybody else is sort of, you know, thought you'd never have a front-wheel drive with more than 200 horsepower. I always love free-revving, naturally aspirated engines, but there is that smile of turbo boost. But it's a different sort of thing.
When it comes in.
I still prefer the good old-fashioned Vtec chiming in at high revs. But at least I quite like the styling's evolved. I mean, it's still got that same sort of family bonnet. I like the sloping front bonnet. But now, of course, we've got a big Carlos Fandango wing on the back. But it's not overly over the top.
But it works. The whole thing works. It shouldn't work.
No, I agree.
The styling on this car shouldn't work, but it really does.
So now we're back where we started.
Well, Tiff, we are, and I'm going to top trump your FK2 with my FK8 and an extra 10 horsepower.
10. Well, that's not much for what, 5 years of development. Was this the FK what?
FK8.
And what was the
The
previous
latest
one?
and greatest. FK2 was the previous
So what
one.
was the FK3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7?
So I don't know where somebody.
Weirdest numbering system I've ever
Somebody,
come across.
please tell us why they're doing this.
So I'm just checking back now through our 6 generations. Well, I only thought there were 4. 6 generations. We've now gone from 185 to 320 horsepower. So that's 135 horsepower increase.
Good maths.
5 speeds to 6 speeds. But look at the weight. We've gone from 1090 kilograms to 1430. This is nearly 1.5 tons.
Yeah, but it's a completely different car now,
I
isn't
tell
it?
you what, 1.5 tons. It's all that bloody bodywork they've added on.
There's a lot.
Flipping hell.
There's a lot of extra styling on this car, particularly more than the others by a country mile. In fact, even more than that, the Japanese one, the FD2.
But isn't it nice to have that classic silver knurl gear lever? The one thing that stayed the same, apart from the Mugen one where you're going crazy,
The
big
gear
black.
lever is
Yeah,
fantastic.
that is
I
a
love it.
classic as well.
Absolutely love it.
Well, thank you, Paul, for that guided tour of the history of Civic Type Rs. 6 generations, not 4 as I thought. Look at them all ahead of us now, all the Type Rs. But tell you what, little Mark 1 looks gorgeous,
Brilliant.
doesn't it?
Absolutely brilliant.
So it's amazing how far they've come since this little gem.
It's incredible.
All those, 1975 to 2018. But I couldn't go home on this. I mean, it's just, they've just gone too crazy. I mean, look at this rear end. I mean, what is that all about? It's a great big,
It is a bit busy around there, isn't it?
all these lines. I reckon the designers had too much sake when they had a go at this. And the front. They've lost the classic Civic line. It's got this extra line across the middle, and look, there's about 8 different lines there.
Yeah, but you say that it's lost, other people will say it's innovation. So you're not going to take this home?
No.
Which one are you going to take home?
It's actually not that hard a choice.
Really?
The original, to me, the first Evolution. I know there's a Japanese car, I now know because you've told me. That's the one, I have to drive that.
The EP3.
Oh, it was so much fun. It brought that little gear lever, light at the rear end. Joy, I'm taking that home. And you?
That's a good choice. For me, I love where it all started. I think that's such a beautiful car, and it's immaculate as well, which is nice to see. I know why you chose that, because that was really good fun. These 2 cars, they've certainly got their place, not for me. I love the innovation with this, how fast it is and how
It's huge.
it is breaking records. But you know what? I would take the FK2.
Fair
I
enough,
really
the
would. I
first
think
turbo.
when it first came out, I just love the looks of it. It's what a hot hatch
That's
should be
settled
about.
then.
Okay, settled. But Tiff, before you go, we're on YouTube now, and one thing YouTube people like to see is a drag race.
Oh, no, not again. We all know what a 0 to 62s are.
No.
We don't need it. All right, if we're going to have a drag race, I choose which cars we drive.
No problem.
This'll teach him.
Oh, Tiff.